Thank you so much, Rohan, for doing this. I'm so glad, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Congratulations for Sabar Bonda, and I'm one of the fortunate ones to watch the film, and it was a deeply, deeply moving experience. So thank you so much, and
Thank you.
congratulations for all the accolades and all the journeys that this film is taking across the globe. And how was your screening in Delhi? Recently, you were in Delhi.
It was quite packed. I mean, it was a 120 seater theater, and
Right.
later on we realized that 2,500 people registered for it. So
Wow.
that was the response, which was quite heartening to see, and I just hope that all these people uh, give the same response when the film comes to the theater.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because there are a lot of people who would actually show up in places like these, but unfortunately, you don't get to see that kind of numbers in theaters. But I genuinely hope that this support also translates there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm very, very happy, and I feel so great that films like Sabar Bonda are, carrying the baton of independent cinema to the world, to the globe, and thank you for doing this. Thank you so much. I know it's been a little tiring for you for the past couple of weeks and months. You have been on a tour, but yeah, I'm sure it is all worth it. And yes, so I want to begin this conversation first of all on a very different note because I've heard about your fascination with projectors and how as a kid you have been there, and I'm sure that a lot of people have already spoken about you regarding this. I just wanted to ask you that, out of curiosity, that have you seen those videos from IMAX where they try to hook up those big reels in the projectors? That is very, like, that is quite a process. Like they are like 80 something inch diameter reels, and they try to fit it and they try to place it like that. It's
Yes,
very,
yes.
very fascinating.
So yeah, I've seen the IMAX video where the projection is. I think that was during Interstellar or
Okay.
something. They had
Mhm.
released this video, and then long back I had seen the projectionist of a regular theater also, doing this similar things.
Right.
And recently, when we went to the censor board office for the censor
Mhm.
screening, and
Right.
we were ingesting the DCP into the digital projector. They had this 235 projectors also over there, so I could finally see up close, those projectors. So that was nice. They had 35 and even 16 projector
Oh,
in the
wonderful.
projection room. So that was really nice to see. Long back, I mean, in 2017, when my one of my short films, Khidki, was
Yeah.
part of Indian Panorama, and I had gone there. So in that premise, there was this one person who has a collection of projectors, various projectors. He had so many projectors, and I could see like all of them at once, and that was something amazing. And I wanted to buy one of those, because he was also selling them, but they were so expensive. So I was like, oh shit. So even then I could not buy, and even now I don't have one. I just hope that I can buy one soon.
Right, right, right. Have you ever
But
gotten
I
the
I
chance?
must tell you that when
Yeah.
when I was like in fourth standard, I had made my own slide projector out of a
Oh,
shoe
wow.
box.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I did have a projector once, which I myself made, and we used to play, every night. I used to call friends and neighbors, and we used to have these shows where I used to just switch on the projectors, put the films in it, and just project it on the wall and stuff like that.
That's wonderful. And I hope that I like, have you gotten the chance to go in one of those, 70 theaters of IMAX, which are like very few across the globe?
I mean, no, I did go to BFI IMAX in London,
Oh, wow.
and I really wanted to watch something interesting, and mostly I wanted to watch 3D film because that screen is so huge. But the time that we were there, that time there were no 3D movie playing, and we had to watch a stupid 2D film. And but then I, at
Okay.
least I got to see the theater, And then I also went to Prasad's IMAX. I watched IMAX documentaries there, and that was an amazing experience. I had seen Under the Sea, and that was just amazing.
That is great. That's wonderful. Uh, Thank you so much for sharing this, because I just wanted to ask you this because this I it is just so fascinating, the entire filmmaking technology of IMAX and the kind of things that it provides. Plus, when I got to know that you are also like a projector aficionado, I just had to ask
Re-
this. I know I know this is like very off the syllabus kind of a topic, but I just wanted to talk about.
No, but now I'm also excited to go to Pune to
Oh
experience Dolby
yes,
Theater,
oh
because
yes,
that is something. I mean, we have experienced Dolby Atmos, but not Dolby Vision. Like
absolutely
my TV has Dolby Vision, so I that's like I know what is Dolby Vision, and that's why I purchased this TV. But
right,
I want to experience the same thing in the cinema also. So I'm just waiting for that chance.
right.
I hope when I go to Pune next for the promotion, I get the chance to go there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, one of my friend lives in Pune. She's also running a page, and she got a chance to watch a film. I forgot which film she watched, but it was an absolutely gorgeous looking experience, because it is something. And I hope that Dolby theaters expand just like the
Yeah,
IMAX
yeah,
theaters.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, in my experience, I have, and this might come like as a little bit of shock, but I have genuinely never had the chance to talk to a queer person, because I have mostly been occupied with a lot of definitions around me that kind of instill some kind of a fear instead of curiosity. And it's like queer folks are from, they're I have I've heard things which made me feel that, oh, like queer folks are from another planet altogether. They are not even human beings. And like I just want to understand from your experience of screening Sabar Bonda and from your own personal life, what kind of perceptions and definitions you have come across, and how do you think that this film is serving as, a gentle push to further break the mold and look beyond those definitions imposed by people around us? Because the beauty of Sabar Bonda is lies in the silences. It is not trying to, it is very subtle, and it is very pure. So, and that kind of purity is what introduces us, welcomes us to look beyond the definitions and the kind of perceptions that we have. So I would love to know your thoughts.
So I think what you said in the end, that was the point when I was making this film. And apparently I didn't come across many perception or not many, except uh, I know that many people think, I don't know if they still think, but I remember when I was working as an interior designer, one of my colleagues, he specifically used to say, "Oh, this is not, natural. This is not Indian. ये सब west से आया है and ऐसा वैसा." And I used to tell him that, I have friends who grew up in rural areas, and when they were growing up, like of course in the 80s and 90s, when they were growing up, and they didn't have TV. And I still know when I used to go to my mama's village where we shot this film Kharshinde, that time no one had TV over there. Literally people used to use radios, or sometimes they used to just play tape recorder and play songs and all. No one had TV over there for a very very long time. So I used to tell him that these people had no access to know, to see queer films at that time in the village or anything, to know that this queer parades that happen or anything. They didn't even know the word gay or queer or anything. And that person used to feel the same thing. And now tell me, how did that happen? If you are thinking all of this came from West and all of these things, how did this happen? And he had no answer to that. So that used to happen a lot with this, specifically this one friend. And Then once I had gone to a party, and when I was not out to my parents, I had gone to a party, and I grew up in Mumbai in Andheri, and where I grew up, you know, uh, a person from that area was there at the party, not partying, but he is an electrician, so he was for some reason at that late hour working on one of the lights over there in that crowd, but he was like working on that light. And I saw him and I got scared because I was not out. So you are scared most of the time when you're not out. Koi dekh lega and all that stuff, and parents ko bata dega. So even I was scared because I was not out, and the stories that I heard about coming outs were all tragedy. So, and in the whole party, I was trying to hide, but somehow he saw me. And around, like, I think 2 3 days later, when I was coming back home from work and I was standing at the bus stop, he came and stood behind me in that queue. And for a moment he was quiet, and then he suddenly asked me, what were you doing there at that party? And I said, I was partying with my friends. And he said, oh. And he said, that place is for rich people, not people like you. And then I realized people also have this other notion that sexuality and all this stuff is for rich people and stuff. And I think because films always showed this, and films always showed queer people in certain way, ki if you are queer, then you have to behave like this or wear clothes like this and things like that. But I don't necessarily saw all queer people like that, you know and that is when I thought that I want to portray all of this the way I experience. Similarly, when I came out to my parents in 2013, I was scared, but when I came out to them, they immediately accepted my sexuality. And the thing was that I only wanted to come to my parents and my some of my close friends, because I used to spend most time with those close friends and my parents. So I just wanted to be completely free with them, so I didn't have to hide. So when I came out to my parents, they immediately accepted me, because my father said, "You know about yourself, that's most important, and there's no point spoiling any girl's life. So don't think about that about that anymore, and we don't want you to get married anymore. So that's it." And it was that simple. And I realized, why don't we see this simplicity, this positivity in the films? Or then I realized also, while making this film or even previous film, the kind of films that I make, they are not inherently the kind of drama that we see in the film. कि ये होता है उसके बाद ये होना चाहिए वो I don't do all of those things, because I usually get inspired by life, and uh, I want to create life on screen as authentically as possible. Uh, so the drama, the struggle that we usually see in this kind of films, I wanted to stay away, because I didn't personally experience that. I know there is struggle for many queer people, but the thing is, we have been always seeing only that. We have only been seeing struggle only. But I feel that sexuality, I personally don't consider my sexuality my identity. I consider myself, my identity is I'm a filmmaker. That's it. And after that, I'm also a human being, and my identity is filmmaker. And I think queer people are also, they are humans, right? So 24 hours they are not like thinking about their sexuality and identity and all of this thing. They have their own lives. They have to work, or if they're a student, they have to study hard, and there are other aspects to life. And then queer people also do all of those things, but in the films, everything is surround everything circles around the identity and acceptance and sadness. So I was feeling that, okay, in my film, this is not, I'm not showing all of this thing, because this is not my personal experience. And I will try to make a film that I have experienced in my personal life. And I experience this positivity from my parents, from my close friends. And I thought that is important to show, because that's when we will show the other side. And hopefully that will that and many people will also resonate with it, because I know so many of my friends, they got acceptance from their families who don't come from rich backgrounds. And so I was like, I want to show all of these things. And when you show a driver father who couldn't finish his studies, or illiterate mother, if they are accepting their son without any problems, then somehow you are normalizing things, that oh, it was this simple, that just these parents love their son, and that was enough for them to accept his sexuality. And when you do this, you also normalize this, कि ये इतना ही simple है. I don't know why we complicate all these things in the films. And I generally have seen filmmakers also, this kind of stories or any other stories, that are a bit different than your regular films, they want to put lots of drama. I mean, during the labs also I used to get that kind of a comment, ये क्या, फिर वो मॉम ने एक्सेप्ट ऐसे कैसे फट से एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, व्हाट वाज हर प्रोसेस एंड दिस. आई सेड there was no, even for my mother there was no process. I mean, if you speak to her, then you will understand the way she's, she will tell you. And every time doesn't happen, every time not everyone takes this 1 day or 1 week to process all of these things and accept. Problem is, we have not seen this kind of stories before. That's why people think, oh, this is always complicated. It's not. And that is why I thought I need to show this simplicity and this positivity and just love. So I used all of those things to craft this
Yeah.
film, hopefully feeling that the way you resonated with it. I hope that other people, more large audience, will also resonate with it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, it has definitely opened a new dimension of thought for me, as someone who's straight, and I'm really grateful to you, as a storyteller, that you took this charge of literally breaking the mold and portraying the reality instead of something that looks not the reality. And thank you so much. For me, it was a discovery, and I am very, very happy that I discovered this side with the help of your film. Like you just mentioned, I feel that there is, like, when it comes to portraying queer love, I think there is a certain gaze that is required for capturing the story, which also doesn't make it look, derogatory or disrespectful in any manner. So I would love to understand, the kind of conversations that you had with your cinematographer Vikas. What were the discussions that you have when it came to bringing this story to life, frame by frame? Ki, how did you, what were those discussions where you decided that, okay, this is the kind of visual look that we have to come up with, this is the kind of placement of the camera that needs to be there in order to convey a particular emotion, because like you just said, you wanted to move away from everything that has been shown so far. So I would love to understand that process.
So one of the most important thing that I had told everyone on the team, that we have to achieve simplicity in everything. So in performances, in cinematography, in costumes, in production design, simplicity meaning this needs to look authentic. Like the way the kind of locations that we have, those are real locations. Those are the locations. Those are the houses. You will see those kind of houses in the villages now. And of course, that in the villages also there are some very rich farmers, who have, if you see their bungalows, you will see merceries outside their bungalows as well. That's also there. But I wanted to show the average population, how they live over there, that. And so I wanted to bring in that simplicity and that authenticity. So I had told that to everyone. So even for actors, that perform very simply. We don't have to show anyone, देखो क्या acting कर रहे हैं हम लोग, ये नहीं चाहिए. So similarly, I have been going to the village since my childhood, so I know how villages look. And I had seen them change, and now the way they look is completely different than how they used to look from my childhood. And I didn't want to exotify the villages and village houses or anything. So I was selecting the locations like the bungalow that you see in the film. So most of the time, most of this families start building the bungalows, and then they run out of money. And so if they haven't plastered the house, so the how walls will be exposed bricks, those red bricks, you'll see that those walls. Or if they have plastered the house but didn't have money to paint, so then it will look gray, and because it's a cement plaster. So I wanted to have all of those things in the film. So I was selecting locations like that, and actually I was scared कि जब मैं विकास को लेके जाऊंगा, विकास इज अ डीओपी, विकास sir, विकास को लेके जाऊंगा देखने के लिए, आई वाज स्केर्ड कि पता नहीं ये क्या सोचेगा, कि ये क्या लोकेशन ढूंढा है, बिकॉज व्हेन यू थिंक अबाउट डीओपीज एंड दे आर गोइंग टू shoot the film, and I have had this fights with my previous in my previous projects with DOPs, and they used to always say, "Oh, ये मेरा काम लोग सोचेंगे कितना गंदा काम है, ये क्या है, वो क्या है." And I was like, you know what, this, but what you're doing is not my vision for this film. So that used to happen a lot, and with this one, so again, I was scared because I was shooting a feature film. I was not shooting a short film. So this is going to be a long, long collaboration, right? So I was like, "Pata nahi, if he's not on board with this, I don't know how I'm going to, handle all of this." So, so every time I was taking him to the locations, I used to really try to, see if he's really liking it. कैसे बोलने के लिए बोल रहा है करके. But we had discussions before we started, before I started taking Vikas to all the locations that I had told him, and he had seen villages, and he also knows that villages look completely different now. And I specifically wanted to retain that visual, so he understood that, and I had also told him that, I want to have a lot of realism in terms of the images as well, but that doesn't mean it should look like a documentary. But because the way sometimes the colors are in the film, they are very saturated, so they don't look as real as possible, then they look like those filmy glossy films. I didn't want that, but I still wanted some striking visuals. So he understood that, and I was also taking pictures whenever I used to go on reikis, and because I'm interested in all this work as well, so I used to grade those images and try to come up with the look and all that stuff. So I used to always share that with Vikas and all. So that I was doing, and then we had all these discussions. I had many references in terms of textures and the lighting that I want, I had told him so many films, and he already knew those films, so I didn't have to really show him, but give the reference. अरे तुमने वो फिल्म में का वो शॉट देखा है क्या? और like माइकल हेनेके के फिल्म का अमोर में, I think the before she gets that stroke, there is a sequence that she's not able to sleep. She's sitting in the bed and he's sleeping. That shot in the darkness, I was like, I really love, you can actually see the darkness, that the bedroom is completely dark, but you can still see these people very faintly. Can we have something like that? So I used to give him references, and we used to discuss all of those things a lot. So he knew what I wanted. And then I also told him that, I really don't like the look of modern lenses because that's so sharp, and I could not really shoot on film to get that film look. So we shot digitally, we shot on Sony FX9. But then we were thinking about the lenses, what lenses and all that stuff. So, and so he suggested, so let's go for vintage lenses. And I was like, can we really use vintage lenses, because that can be expensive as well? And he said, no, I know this vendor like Prasad Labs. They have Lomo Illumina Mark II, which are Russian vintage lenses. The company, I think company shut down in 90s. So they are and so but American one of the American companies purchased all those lenses and they rehoused them. So he said that, India has only one set, which is with Prasad's lab. So, we can always get it from there, and I can negotiate with them, and let's go for it. And then I was like, oh, why not? Of course. And so we did before the shoot, 1 month before, I think, we went to the locations to do the camera test and lens test. and we shot footage of from day to night and at different locations, and uh, we went with the actors and costume and actually the whole team. So the actors were just, they were doing random things, but we just wanted them in the frame and with the all the costume that we had made for them. So we did all of those things, and then when we came back, Siddharth Mir, who's the colorist and also the producer of the film, he graded them. And because with him also I had shared all those references, and we had also Vikas also discussed with him what he's also now looking for in terms of, you know, look of the film. So Siddharth, I think he took 3 days or something to grade everything and to come up with the look. And when he came up with the look, we really liked it, and we used that look during the shoot. We put the LUT in the camera and we shot it, so we knew exactly how a final shot will look like, you know, in terms of the colors and everything. Of course, it was not final, but it was closer to final. And then when it was time for us to grade the actual film, Himanshu, who works with Sid, he actually sat because Sid had already made the look. He had designed the look. Then Himanshu sat with Vikas, and even I used to be there. I used to just watch them work and what are they discussing, because that's also a big learning thing for me. So Vikas and Himanshu. So Himanshu did the detailed grading of the film. So yes, and that's that. And the thing is, I did my whole storyboard, like because I studied interior designing. I all since my childhood I was always interested in drawing, and as a child I was also interested in camera. The way I was interested in projector, so that all those things really helped me in my interior designing, where I have to also imagine the space before I design it, right? So that imagination always helped. So whenever I lock my locations, I take this time in pre-production to come to make the storyboard. So uh, everything that you see in the film, or I would say almost 90% film, 90% images that you see in this film were drawn on paper. So I have my whole thick book of storyboard, and me and Vikas and everyone, we discussed the whole story. Even the editor, I had shared it with my editor as well. So I had already pre-edited the film on the paper. So, and we only shot that much, we didn't shoot anything extra. That sometimes what used to happen that we never got a location like on the set. Just we are going to the set, that location, and suddenly we get to know that, oh, that location is not available because grandmother died this morning, so we can't shoot there anymore, because now suddenly the situation is different over there, so we can't shoot, and suddenly we have to find another location. So in those instances, storyboard changed, but I had made the storyboard, so I had that base, so I could always build on it, even if I have a different space. So that those things used to happen, or sometimes even I think there were instances where Vikas on the shooting day suddenly he also felt, oh, this is so interesting. That can we do this? So I was like, oh, that this looks interesting, and let's do it. But
Right.
I think he religiously followed the storyboard a lot, because every day morning when we used to go to the set, in the car he used to open up the storyboard. So उस दिन जितने shots लेने हैं वो सब he has to look at them, and you know all that stuff he used to do. So I think he literally took those images that I had drawn on paper, and he translated them on the screen, using his lenses and his lighting, and then he was involved in color grading to really get that look, you know. So yeah, I mean that's why I was taking a lot of time to even finalize the DOP.
Right.
I took almost 3 years. I mean, it took us 3 years to finalize the actors in that, and then similarly, it took that same amount of time to finalize all the locations, and it took so similar time to finalize my DOP. So Vikas, I literally found Vikas, I think 6 months before the shoot. and I
Mhm.
was really happy when I started talking to him and discussing the film, and he really understood what I really wanted to capture. And I'm really happy. And I also, as I was saying, I think curating the team,
Yeah.
it's also some kind of casting. Not only casting actors, is you are also casting the whole team, all the HODs. And for me, it was also important that all these HODs are also good human beings, because I am supposed to spend this long time with them. So having that good relationship with them is also important. And in some ways, I wanted to have all these good people on board, because then I wanted to have collaborators with whom I can work again and again and again. So build that friendship and that connection also, that was important to me.
Yes.
So I took a really really long time to really take right people on the uh, team. And it's because of all of them, this film, whatever is it is right now, it's because of them, because they are the ones who take the director's vision and translate it into the reality. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it is very evident it has worked tremendously. So congratulations to the entire team. You just mentioned about how you required, some striking visuals for your story. And there are two moments from the film that I would love to talk to you about. One is that moment where, we see the way you have captured the mind space of Anand. The way you have positioned the camera in such a way that the curl of his hair is somehow extending, and the area around his head, it also looks the same, so it somehow portrays the mind space that he is in, which is not, I would say, very clear. And then there is a moment where he's sitting with Balya, when he there is just absolute clear sky and they're just enjoying the conversation together. uh, it was really beautiful. It was really beautiful, and I'm going to remember these, like this particular way that you have tried to connect both of, like, the mind space of Anand and Balya, and how you have brought them together in such a visual manner. I would really remember this. It was a wonderful moment. Then there is one scene where we see Anand collecting the ashes of his father, and he's literally, when he's doing it, of course there is a lot of numbness, like he's not sobbing uncontrollably, which he does eventually in the end of the film, but he's very numb, and that numbness is very, like, he's radiating that numbness in a way that the people who are lighting the pyre, they are telling him that, अच्छा ये, this is the part, अच्छा इसे आप ऐसे उठाओ, अच्छा ये वाला भी आप ले लो. So the way he's picking those burnt parts, कि अरे ये बहुत गर्म है, and the way he keeps them, I just want to understand that for that particular moment, what was your discussion with, uh, the actor who plays Anand, and how did you prepare for this particular scene? Because there are a lot of moments in the film, but this one just really struck a chord with me, because not too long ago we lost someone in the family, and from the paternal side, and I that was the very first time when I saw the entire process of the rituals. And I still remember when I was sitting beside my dad, because the person who left us was my dad's brother, and we were just sitting there, and he said, "Beta dekhna ab sar bahar aayega," because he was totally, like, burnt and everything. So it just reminded me of that moment, that particular point in the film where Anand is picking up the ashes. So I just wanted to understand that, what was your discussion? What was that process? How did you, as a director, how did you create that space for your actor to, go into that zone and portray that emotion of numbness, and yet there is also responsibility. So yeah, I would love to understand.
Uh, Specifically about that, picking up the ashes wala part, when my father passed away, and that same evening after cremation, that same evening I had to go with my aunts and all to the cremation ground and to collect the ashes. until I actually sat in front of that play, in front of the ashes. I mean, just some hours before there was this pyre, and we had put my father on that, and we had lit the pyre, and so sometime back, this person, and even though he was not alive, he was there, and when I came back in the evening, it was just ashes. That when I saw that, I was like completely shocked that, oh, this person has now just become ashes. And then when my aunt, just casually, they were like picking this thing, wo wala, chest wala le lo, iska le lo. They were saying this so normally, and that was a big shock. That how are they saying all of this so normally? Ki iska ye part le lo, uska wo part le lo, abhi pair ka le lo, ye le lo. And I was like, but I realized this is life, you know. And in the films we never saw this movement, and until then we have always seen that, we like घाट पे है और अभी इमर्स कर रहे, वो तो हमेशा देखा हुआ है. बट मेरे भी दिमाग में नहीं आया दैट मोमेंट की, yeah, but to do all of this you have to also pick up those ashes. And then when I was there, I was completely shocked by that moment. And of course, then my aunts and my uncles, they were pulling those pieces near me, and I had to pick them up and put them into that uh, what do you call it, the pot, earthen pot. And that was something that was quite shocking to me, and it stayed with me. uh, like I remember when the doctor told me that on that last day that okay, he has only last maximum 10-11 minutes, and if you want to uh, go and be in that room, you can go. He was in ICU. So I went, and he was there, of course, unconscious. Only those machines were keeping him alive. And then, when you're standing there, and that now in another 10-11 minutes, this person's not going to be, alive. That was so I didn't know what to do over there. I was so numb. I didn't know what to do. So I just held his hand for a while, and because then I knew this will not happen anymore, and so I just did that. So when I was picking those ashes, I was remembering all that last moment when he was on that bed, and I was right there and all that stuff. So, and then when I was writing the film, this is what I'm saying, right? I always get inspired by life, and I'm not inspired by films how to tell the stories. Some filmmakers and some stories help you push those envelope and come up with your own way. But yeah, then you have to find what inspires you to really tell your story. So this was something that no film showed me. It was the life that showed me all of this moment, made me experience all of this moment. And that is when, when I was writing the film, I was like, in my film I'm not going to show them immersing the ashes. I'm going to show this, that for that one, first you have to do this, you have to pick up those ashes, and I'm going to show that because that is more harrowing than showing that you are immersing the ashes. So all this, this visual styles and or these movements came from that, or and the thing is, my as I say, the themes of these films are quite universal. The grief, falling in love, or connection with your parents, spending moments with your mother, and just talking. These are the things we have, all of us have experienced in our life, and that helps people connect with it. So similarly, when actors read the script, they could immediately connect with it, because I still remember some of the actors from the team. One of the actors who plays Anand's mami, she told me, Rohan, this one moment she said, we have all experiences in real life, but we have not seen those moments in the film. And I really like those. And I said the same thing to her, because I'm not creating, I don't get inspired by other films. I get inspired because life shows you so much more and so much strange stuff that no film can show you. And that's when, when you use those things in your film, people quickly connect with it, because then oh, this is real, and that helps them. So similarly, my actors, like just sometime before the shoot, my actor had lost his grandmother. Anand had lost his grandmother, or Suraj, who plays Baya, he had lost his mother a few years back. So so we all know this thing, so we don't I didn't have to really tell them something else, abhi tumko aisa karna padega, now you have to go into this mind space. No, they have all have been there, they have all been through heartbreaks. I mean, both the boys have had heartbreaks as well. Both the boys have fallen in love, so they know all of these things. So I didn't have to tell them anything else. There was nothing specific that we were talking, or I was not telling anything to Anand, or for that matter, Bhushan, ki now how to show how his how his numbness or anything. He knew it. He had gone through it. So I didn't have to. I just had to write a script that feels more closer to the life, feels more closer to the moments that most people have experienced. So actually, those are the things helped all of those people. So to be honest, on the shooting days or during our calls, Zoom calls, where we used to do mostly the dialogue readings, I used to then have to tell them, like when we were doing the dialogues, I used to just tell them that what is the tone, how you have to say this, or how I'm hearing that in my head. So I just had to give them those things. Baki emotions ke hisab se I didn't have to tell them anything. They were doing, and that was the reason we also finalized them. When I auditioned Bhushan, I simply told them, be as normal as you can, and tell us, deliver the dialogues like बहुत simplicity से बातें करनी है. Because as I said कि the way my aunts and my uncles, when they were picking up the bones, how casually they were saying, अरे ये हाथ वाला part लो, ये वाला part लो. When you hear that simplicity, or that casualty, that hits you a lot, rather than saying things in a very dramatic tone. And in real life, we don't say things in such really dramatic tone. We say, matter of factly, and that hits you. And I wanted to have that, so I had just told them those things. And then when Bhushan gave his audition, my casting director Yugandhar, he quickly said he's really good. Let's finalize him. Even I felt the same thing, and we finalized him. And then Bhushan and all the other actors who are on board because of those reasons, that they understood what I'm looking for, and they gave me what I wanted. And so, you know, simply that's why people say screenplay is the hero of any film. You have to write first for everyone to understand what we are creating, and once you write that, then half of your job is done. So that's the thing. So yeah, it was just this writing something very authentic and very honestly, and just the way my actors understood that authenticity and honesty. That's what even audience is also feeling that. So yeah. Similarly, I mean, that one shot that you were talking about of Anand's head and the tree and all. I had framed that particular moment a bit differently in the storyboard. But that is also there in the film. But then when we were on the set, I was telling Vikas that I think before that shot, I feel we need to have another shot as well. And that's when he framed that shot from behind. And because before that we had already shot that one sequence of terrace. Even there
Yes.
you have the shot from behind their heads,
Right.
so we had
Right.
already shot that. So he quickly framed his head from behind, and then he asked me, "Don't look at this, what do you think, can this be part of this scene?"
Hmm.
And I was like, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, of course, why not? This is so beautiful. तुमने क्या किया मुझे बताओ, मुझे तुमने क्या किया है यहाँ पे. So he explained me what he done, and I was like, yeah, of course, this can be part of it. And so
Hmm.
yeah, so most of it was in terms of the headspace of the character and all. I really was not talking, because I know people, directors talk about this with the actors, how to get into the mind space and all. To be honest, I was not doing all of that. I can, and if you talk to actors, they'll tell you there were no such very deep intellectual conversation, that they were not happening on the set. Because sometimes when you do this, then sometimes I feel there's a disconnect. Personally, for me, there's a disconnect. And जो simplicity है ना, वो ही तुम फिर achieve नहीं करते हो. You get into the intellectual thing. I mean, it's
Hmm.
okay in some films that work.
Yeah.
Some films go for those things. But in this film, I was not going for those things. So I had to also create the environment on the set that is like that. So
Absolutely.
so yeah, I hope I
Nice.
answered your question.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I, with this simplicity is why is how I guess you were able to achieve that authenticity, because it never felt, like you said, it never felt outwardly. It always felt कि यार, this has happened, if not in our home, maybe in our neighborhood, maybe at a place where we have been. So we have seen all of that. What has been your biggest learning as a filmmaker since you have ventured into this profession of storytelling, and especially, taking your films to festivals which are as big as Sundance? So, what are your observations? What are your learnings as a filmmaker, as a person, as someone who loves, this art form of cinema?
To be honest, there's only one learning that I have, uh, specifically after working on this film. After going to even labs, we were part of Venice Biennale College Cinema and Film London Production Violence Market, and while working on this film, I really had conversations with really nice people who know the craft and everything. But I realized one thing that I think all filmmakers should follow, or upcoming filmmakers should follow, that no matter whoever says what, and no matter whoever has this big experience, what you have to know is you have to follow your gut feeling, because without that you will not create something that is true to yourself. That is what I learned. And then I also had some moments where I momentarily I listened to other people, because they said, oh, if we do this, that will be much better and all. And sometimes that happens when some seniors tell you tum doubt mein ja sakte ho, and then you then try to follow that, because then the people around you also start telling you, no, if that person is saying something, then you should listen to it. And then that can happen. And as a first time feature filmmaker and stuff like it, then you are vulnerable at that moment, really. And then you can do that. And but what I realized, at the end of the day, we spent time chasing that other moment, which took us nowhere. And when I was trying to create that moment, because that was the suggestion from someone senior, I realized that was not working for me. And in the end, we had to do what I wanted to do in the first place. And but before that, we spent so much of time, we wasted so much of time and energy and everything. So I realized you should not do that, because you are the one who is creating this film. They don't know. Other people can really never know what you're trying to create. And that is the also reason when you hear filmmakers saying कि मैं जब स्क्रिप्ट लेके जा रहा था प्रोड्यूसर्स के पास, उनको किसी को समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा था मैं क्या बनाना चाहता हूँ. It's the same thing. Like I got this so much that, oh, film should end in the village, or whatever the end is that I'm not going to spoil that. People were saying, oh, that should not happen. And I was like, why? And that happened a lot. And then people say that if you are getting similar feedback from everyone, there is some truth in it. But that's when you have to listen to your gut feeling, and go back to the moment when this idea excited you, and then you have to just listen to that. What was it that excited you to tell this story, or chase this idea for this many years? So you have to go back to that, and then when you listen to yourself and that gut feeling, you will have your actual answer, that what you want to do. Similarly, when you go to the labs, people give you and मतलब बहुत फीडबैक मिलेगा तुमको. And but it's not, you don't have to incorporate all that feedback when you are making the film. You always have to have your filters on कि उसमें से how much is really going to help you shape that vision or hone that vision further. There is something that doesn't fit in that vision, so you should be clear about it. Okay, no, but I'm not going to use that because that's not part of my vision. So वो होना चाहिए, otherwise then वो काफी लोग बोलते भी है कि लैब में जाके मेरा स्क्रिप्ट कुछ और ही बन गया. Is because of that then you incorporate everything that they were saying. But you have to listen to yourself and your gut feeling. That will always tell you something very honestly, and that will actually help you achieve what you want to achieve. And I've been telling my all friends now, all friends, there were so many instances, things that happened in this film. Then I realized, oh, I should have listened to myself first. Otherwise, we had saved so much of time. So I've been telling my friends, always listen to your gut feel. Similar, simply like the other day, I went to Symbiosis, and then someone asked me that, "Oh, as a upcoming filmmaker, first time filmmaker, should I listen to my intuitions or should I follow technique?" I said, "See, technique is something you can always learn. Anyone can teach you techniques, but your intuitions is yours. That no one can teach you. Like as simple as this. As an artist, you get 100 ideas, बट वो 100 आइडियाज में से ये एक को मैं फॉलो करूंगा, ये चूज करने के लिए तू यू फॉलो योर गट फीलिंग ओनली, राइट? सो इट्स सेम व्हेन यू आर मेकिंग द फिल्म, व्हेन यू आर like the decision that I did, okay, I am not going to show Anand immersing his father's ashes. I'm going to show him collecting the ashes. So that for that you rely on your intuitions and your gut feeling, that basically decision making power, that is yours to come to arrive at that decision. That is, and as a director, as as a filmmaker, all the time you are making some decisions, right? So for that, I think you do that. That's really important. Listening to yourself is really important.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure that this must also be one of the biggest learnings that you had about yourself as a filmmaker, that you
And
really
it's
need to
and
listen to
also
yourself.
it's hard because it's
Yeah.
like when I'm writing the film, or anyone who's a writer, that's a lonely job. I mean, it's okay for some films you have co-writers and all, but largely it's a lonely job. But when you start making the film, there's so many people join the team, right? Then everyone is like giving you feedback, or they're looking at you for the decisions. Iska kya kare? So uske liye, you are always taking some decisions as a director. So for that you have to start listening to yourself.
Yeah. Like there is this question that I hear almost every time I see any of the interviews of folks like you who go and make it big with their stories across the globe, that आपको कैसा लग रहा है? I don't want to ask that question to be very honest, but there is one thing that I would love to talk to you about, and we are like approaching the end of the conversation. Uh, like it said, we all know that with great power comes great responsibility. So, was there any moment after winning the grand jury at Cannes, at Sundance, where the victory, yes, of course, it brought a lot of happiness and a lot of pride and a lot of joy that, yes, finally the story that you wanted to tell has been told and it was received with such, it has been embraced with open arms. But along with that, did it also bring a sense of fear and nervousness that, okay, this is my first feature film that has garnered so much of acclaim, and now I need to be consistent with my other stories as well, because now लोगों ने मुझे अब एक चीज करते हुए देख लिया है और उस एक काम ने इतनी ज्यादा उपलब्धि दी है कि अब मैं इससे नीचे नहीं जा सकता चाह कर भी. So I really need to be consistent. So did you was there any point where you felt this way even for a minute?
See, I mean, Sundance, it's a big, 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 big award, of course. But to be honest, even when I was making short and when I was winning awards, even then I used to have this fear that, oh, after this award, then even for the short film, that people then expect good things from you always. And forget the awards. Even if you make a nice film, even if that doesn't win any award, even if you make a nice film and people really like it and people really like your work, that pressure, you feel the pressure that, oh, I have to make something nice and all. And even before you make, you have your own standards, huh? You have to meet those standards. Even while writing, you have to meet that standard. Does this excite you or no? Those are the things you always think about. So while even while making the film, you are scared throughout the time because you don't know ये कैसा बनने वाला है. मतलब हम लोग बना रहे हैं, मैंने स्टोरी बोर्ड सब कुछ बना लिया, सब कुछ हो गया है, but still when you have the final film, after that how it will feel, you don't really know until you make it. So you are always in that fear, or in that pressure, if the kind of vision you had, which made everyone excited, and so this 150 people are working for you to create that vision. So there is always this pressure, you feel that all the time. So only by not by only winning the award, even while you're making the film, you have that pressure. And it's okay to feel that, I realize that fear is going to be part of it all the time. So I mean, at that, after like when I won the award, Sundance ka, of course, that fear doubled. It wasn't that fear was not there, fear doubled, because excitement भी हुआ तो of course fear भी बढ़ गया उस वक्त. So but then I had to live with that for a while. Now that fear has reduced, but when I will start working on the next one, that fear will again come to the surface, and I will have to work along with that fear. So that happens all the time, and that's what I'm saying. I realize that fear is not going to go anywhere. It will be always there, and because my next film will not be the same thing, because I don't want to use the similar visual style or anything for my next one. And I didn't do that with my shorts also. They were all visually and sound wise different than each other, so it will be different. So because then I'm like completely attempting something that I haven't done before. So again वो fear तो आने ही वाला है कि I'm going into again unknown things, unknown territory. अभी ये कैसे करना है? So that fear will always be there. And so I keep giving this example that once Steven Spielberg asked Stanley Kubrick uh, that what is the hardest part for you when you're shooting the film, and Stanley Kubrick said that reaching the set and getting out of the car is the hardest thing for me. So someone like Stanley Kubrick feels that. So and this is what it's interesting. I mean, it's good. It's good to have fear. Even I think, shit, I forgot his name. Director of Whiplash.
Damien Chazelle.
Damien Chazelle. Damien
Yeah.
Chazelle also said this thing that, if a project scares you a lot, that means you have to do that one. So, that fear is not going to go anywhere. No matter you win the award or no, if you're making something new, fear will be always there, and you have to just deal with it and uh, make your thing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Rohan. I would love to, I would like to end this conversation by asking just about some of the films that, have inspired you and have stayed with you for the longest time. Like you gave an example of Amor. Are there any films that were directly were an inspiration for Sabar Bonda? And are there any other films that when you discovered them for the first time, you were like, okay, this is cinema. This is not just watching movies. Yeah,
That happens. What is cinema and what excites you, what stays with you, that happens. And but as I said, at the end of the day, you have to find your own stories and how you want to tell them. Then that's when they become your voice, right? Otherwise, they feel like, oh, you are copying another filmmaker. But like Amor, I have seen almost all Michael Haneke's film, and I keep watching them. Like Funny Games, I really love Funny Games. White Ribbon. Then I really love Nuri Bilge Ceylan. Have seen all of his films, but the two films rather, I really like of Nuri Bilge Ceylan are Once Upon a Time in Anatolia and Clouds of May. Then Aprishatapang Virasatakul. I really love his film. His films, मतलब वो पूरी film ही dream like ही लगती है. I really love that. Yeah, I really love that quality, of his films. Um then Hirekazu Koreda, I really love shoplifters, and I've just few months back I finally saw Mabrosi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I really loved that film as well. So many of his films, if you see them, they are really amazing. And like I think he and Nuri Bilge Ceylan they are like novelists, but they don't write novels. They make novels through their visuals, is what I feel, and that's why I really love their films. Like the camera work of Nuri Bilge Ceylan's films is just amazing, and he himself is a photographer, so you can see that in his films. And even the way he constructs some movements, like in Once Upon a Time in Anatolia, that one sequence where all this group who's trying to find a dead body, where this man who has murdered his friend, where he has buried the dead body, and they're like looking for that spot the whole night. And then they go to this village, and they're like all after they have some food, they're this almost taking a nap, and this girl comes with the tea in that dark room just with that lamp, and then she's giving the tea to everyone. That moment is so amazing, and I can think, how is he creating these movements? Those things really inspire you to create movements in your own work that might stay with filmmaker, film with the audience, or you know that those things inspire you, and you will see all of those things in all these filmmakers films, like Celine Siem. I really love her films. And then there are so many other filmmakers I that I really love, and maybe not all of their films, but some film that they have made that has stayed with me, and that happens most of the time. But these are the few filmmakers I watch their most of their films again and again. So I love that. Yeah, I love those films.